Just like everyone else, I've been eagerly waiting for even a crumb of news regarding the next id Software game, just a hint at what's to come, and I may have just gotten something. It's nothing huge, no big announcement or massive teaser, but it's something that gives a glimpse at what's up next, so I figured we should talk about it. It's always fun to go over things, analyze them, talk about them, and whatever else, which is exactly what we'll be doing in today's video. So if you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like on today's video and subscribe. It's a great, free way to help me out, and something I would greatly appreciate. Now, you're probably on the edge of your seat wondering what I'm even talking about, and I'll tell you, it's a job listing. Today's bit of news comes from the description of a ZeniMax job listing that was recently posted over on the ZeniMax Jobs website. This isn't just any random listing though, it's a listing for a job working on the next id Software game, and the description is kinda interesting. Before I get into this specific listing and its interesting details, I want to remind you that a pretty large number of listings for what I assume is the same title popped up last November, and due to those being somewhat crucial to this listing, I'll be going over them again here in a bit. But first, let's take a look at the most recent one. So, the listing is for a combat designer over at id Software. I'm not going to read this off word for word, but I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to. The listing is essentially asking for someone who can help create innovative combat that's an evolution of what we've seen in previous titles. A lot of this is obviously just technical stuff that could be used to describe really any innovative FPS games, but two things in specific stand out to me. The first thing can be found under qualifications and asks that applicants have in-depth knowledge of recent id games, including Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. The second thing that stands out is under preferred skills. It seems like they're looking for familiarity with all id Software games, characters, brands, and worlds. The reason these two things in specific stand out to me is because, one, they're trying to make an evolution of Eternal's combat. This isn't just another basic shooter. Whatever the game ends up being, it'll take the best things from Eternal and make it better. The second reason is because no specific name is mentioned for the title yet. It just states that we're looking for someone with knowledge of all id Software titles, not just Doom or Quake, which means that, unfortunately, we still aren't any closer to figuring out what this is. We do have some details from the previous listings that provide more insight, but before we get to that, I do want to say that I personally think this job suggests that they're still extremely early in development. We aren't sure how long they've been working on this title, but from the way things have sounded, they may have started development back in very early 2021, although I'm not entirely sure. For them to just now be hiring a new combat designer, this could mean that they're just starting to dip their toes into the hardcore elements of the game. That, or they just need some more members. We'll just have to see. Regardless, what I'm saying is that you shouldn't expect to hear any sort of official announcement anytime soon, so don't get your hopes up. But until that announcement, we can always talk about the info that we currently have, so let's do that. The last time we talked about this, we had a total of 12 job listings, not just one, and we got some pretty good info off of those. I'm obviously not going to read all of them, so if you want all the info, I'll be sure to have the video pop up on the end card. I will, however, give you a brief summary of everything we learned from last time. We know for sure that this is a new entry in a long-running FPS franchise that will explore both sci-fi and fantasy worlds. We also know that they're looking to expand old worlds and create new ones using grand imagery in both a gameplay and cinematic context on next-gen platforms. What does this mean? Well, not too much. It pretty much confirms that it won't be another Rage or Commander Keen. Rage isn't a long-running classic, and Commander Keen isn't an FPS franchise. We also know that it won't be another Wolfenstein because Machine Games is currently developing a new one, and they wouldn't want the two to compete, obviously. All this information really does is narrow it down to Doom and Quake, but we kinda already guessed that. Back when I made my initial video, there were a good handful of people that seemed to believe that this small bit of information completely confirmed what game it was. And I'm sorry to have to break this to you, but it doesn't. Both Doom and Quake are long-running FPS games with sci-fi and fantasy themes. The UAC portions of Doom and the Strogg and Quake are sci-fi, while the knights, castles, and dragons of Doom combined with the rest of Quake is fantasy. There is genuinely no way to tell which one it is, and while both you and I would love to believe that this absolutely confirms that it's either one, it really doesn't, and we may have to wait quite some time to figure things out. Personally, although nothing is confirmed, and even though I love Doom, I think it would be interesting to get a new Quake game instead. That way, by the time the next Doom rolls around, it'll feel more fresh, and we'll get a taste of something new while we wait. They could always bring some of the characters from Quake Champions, like Kill and Visor, into the mix, or they could do what I would personally prefer, which is a Quake 1 styled game focusing on the Ranger. I just love the feel of Quake 1, and think it would translate pretty well into a new game. Regardless, though, if you want all of the information on those 12 previous job listings, you can click on this end screen to head on over there and watch it. Otherwise, that's really all I have for today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, as always. You can also find links to my merch store and Discord server down below as well if you're interested in supporting the channel further or just want to have a good time. That's all for now, though, so thank you all for watching. Until next time.